Cam Robinson is the content director and director of film scouting for Elite Prospects. He joins us on Tuesdays from his abode on Vancouver Island. How we doing?
Doing well. I mean, this is it, right? We're officially in the stretch drive, right? 15 games left on the season. Everything's ramping up. Let's have some fun with it. Yeah,
we are. I don't think the Canucks know about that, but we are.
Yeah,
the memo hasn't gone
they
across,
better know
eh?
soon here. Let's start with the game tonight, Cam. So tough opponent, best in the league, Winnipeg Jets. Connor Hellebuck. How do you go about playing the Jets? How do you attack the Jets? What do you got to be worried about, and how do you feel about the game tonight?
Oh boy, I mean, like they are deep. They can score, they can defend, and they've got the best goaltender in the world. I mean, it is definitely a tough matchup, but obviously they are not indestructible. You have to limit chances. You have to limit their access to the inside, and you have to get to the inside. You have to get into Connor Hellebuck's kitchen, especially with a team that is struggling to score goals at a rapid rate here at dirty goals, right? Get in there, bang, muck it up, and get him however you can. Hopefully get in his head a little bit, get in his kitchen, and get him off his game, as difficult as that can be to do. But they got to find a way to, at least pull a point out tonight, right? Like you come out 0-4 tonight, and you're starting to dig yourself a little bit of hole with 15 games left on the schedule, and like 2/3 of them are against playoff teams, right? They do not have an easy schedule up ahead here, so they have to find ways to get points against these teams that are ahead of them in the standings,
including this big 6-game roadie that is coming up. St. Louis, Calgary, Utah, they're all in action tonight. What's your confidence level right now, Cam, in terms of the Canucks making the playoffs?
Like on paper and how well this team performed last year and, the playoff run, it's like I feel like of those teams, they should be best situated to take that final wild card spot. But I mean, obviously no more JT Miller, Philip Hedl, big question mark. Is he there? That center depth is non-playoff center depth at this point. Thatcher Demko, Lankinen's been good, but he's not a Vezina level goalie. So my gut tells me I'm not that confident. I mean, I think they got 29 or 30% odds to get in at this point. I think that's fair. I think that it's kind of like it's a legitimate four-horse race. And something about Calgary and having Dustin Wolf back there, and they're kind of this plucky team that wasn't supposed to be there. Sometimes they're the ones that end up sneaking it out versus the team that had the higher expectations and haven't met them. But we'll just have to see. It's really like they have the talent in that dressing room to get it done. So I think that there's still a reasonable chance here.
And theoretically, they don't score a lot of goals, but it just seems on their resume, they have guys that have scored goals at the very least. Like I don't know what Canucks fans should be hoping for here with regards to who's going to score goals. How do they do it? Even with Hedl, but now especially Cam, with no Philip Hedl, how do they score goals? We can criticize Rick Tocchet all we want, but how are they supposed to score goals?
It's obviously a big issue, right? And you can point at Brock Besser and be like, man, that guy is burning money off of his next ticket, right? He's got to figure it out. But at the same time, it's like he needs someone to work with. We know that he's not a play driver. He's a finisher. He needs to find the soft ice and get the puck in a good spot and finish it off, right? Pettersson's been playing much better lately. That's great. That's got to keep going. But you can't count on Poos Suter to be scoring for you every night, right? You can't count on some of these depth guys to do it. Obviously, you need that. They're going to need that now. They need Dakota Joshua, need Connor Garland. They need these guys to find the back of the net and do it on a fairly consistent basis. They need a couple guys to get hot. And it's a tall ask for some of these players that aren't natural goal scorers. But you have to look at Brock Besser, who's really struggled since Miller's gone. There was all that noise at the deadline, and that's justifiable that, maybe that was impacting his play, but that's over now. He's here for the rest of the season. It's like, put up or shut up time, Brock. You gotta find ways to impact the game in a positive way, and that is scoring goals. He has to score goals.
And too much on Lekkermaki to expect offense there at this point, right?
Well, I mean, if you're going to play him right now he's seeing 10 or fewer minutes a night from the fourth line. Yeah, he's seeing, 20% of the second power play unit time there at the end of it. But that unit has, it's lacking skill. It's lacking cohesiveness. It's not generating much. So that's a big question. Like, what's the plan with this kid? Like, he's 20 years old. He was having a really strong year in the AHL. You bring him up now, you're playing him very few minutes. You're not putting him in offensive situations. Like, he's barely getting a shot per game. Like, he almost has as many hits as he has shots. That's not the type of player you were bringing up to ignite offense. That's not Lekkermaki's job. So I do question, what is the plan with him right now up here? But if you want him to be a catalyst that is going to generate offense, you better put him up with some players who can create offense with him. Because again, you can't expect him to be a play driver seeing 8 minutes a night on the fourth line.
Cam, just getting back to center ice if they have to go without Hedel here. So your Pettersson, your Suter, your Bluger, and your some combination of Nils Oman or maybe Atu Ratu or Max Sasson. How do you have to play if those are the four centers you stack on a nightly basis?
Well, I guess that's Rick Tocchet's system that's coming into play there. Is it's got to shut him down, like he said the other day. That I don't think we have the team that can open it up, and at this point they don't have the horses to open it up, and so it has to be 2-1 hockey, 3-2 hockey, suffocating defense, and then take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. And you have to trust that some of your guys, your Petterssons, your Bessers, your Hughes, are going to be able to finish off those plays when they get their opportunities, and if they don't, you're not going to win. But that's basically the avenue for success for this team right now.
So on the coach, first of all, do you think he's a fit? Do you think he's a fit with the personnel group they have right now when everyone is healthy?
Yes, I do. I think he's well respected. I think he does have a good mind for the game and how to handle some of the personalities in the room. You just wonder if he's able to maximize the offensive skill of some of his players. And we've seen that in his other stops before, right? Clayton Keller really struggled under him and has exploded away from him. Pettersson has had his moments with Tocchet, but it's been generally, we could call that a bit of a struggle too. So if he's the coach for this team and the roster that's constructed as of today, I think he probably is the right man for the job, because he's going to have to, maximize all that suffocating two-way style, and then, hope for that quick power play that they can generate something and finish it off, or a goal off the rush or something like that on a bad turnover. But if their plan is to go out and, take a huge cut and try to sign a guy like Mitch Marner or a Nick Ehlers or something, and bring in some more offensive talent that you're really going to have to kind of let run, I'm not sure. Is that the guy that's going to be able to maximize and let those guys kind of run around and get their 90, 100, 110 points or something like that?
So let's ask you the Surrey Mitsubishi poll question. Sorry, Blake. In that vein, what should the Canucks do with Tocchet? Fire him, exercise the option, sign him to an extension, or do you want to see how this season plays out before making the call?
What I think they should do is, at this point in time too, is let's just see how these final 15 games go. And if they do get into the playoffs, let's see how that goes as well, because they do have time to make a decision on him. And I think that time has been created by Rick. I think that if it was up to the brass, he would have already been extended. I think that they would like to keep him around. I think Tocchet is probably more keeping his options open than anyone else. But if it's me, yes, I would wait and see, because if the wheels fall off, it's like, maybe you look elsewhere. Maybe it's just not a fit for both parties moving forward here. If he can dig them and they can dig deep and they can get into the playoffs, and maybe they can even just push deep into round one, right? Make it a contest here against one of the top teams. Then maybe that's enough to justify, either exercising the option or extending him on a 2 or 3 year term. But this guy won the Jack Adams. Like, if he goes to free agency, there's going to be teams lining up to pay him, big money for a long term. And maybe he's frustrated with what's happened all season in Vancouver. It's been a difficult year. I'm sure it's been difficult on him too. So I do believe that he's more keeping his option open than anybody else in the organization.
The only thing that has people somewhat placated and confident and comfortable to a degree is the defense core. But there's still some development there. Mancini and Elias Pettersson are not finished products, obviously. So the question is, should Elias Pettersson be in the lineup every single night?
No, I don't think so. I think Derek Forbert's been really strong lately. The big shot blocks, he's been stepping up. He's a big guy, he's physical. He's Ian Cole at a cheaper price, and he's been doing well at the job lately. And I think that he's earned the right to be in the lineup on that left side. But I love what Pettersson has accomplished this year as a 20-year-old kid, first year in North America as a pro. Had pro experience in Sweden, but it's a different game over here. Stepping up. He loves to lower the boom. He makes smart plays with the puck. It's great. Long term, he's going to be a really strong player for them. But I think at this point, it's okay to have him kind of come in and out of the lineup, especially after he took that whack and they didn't know, is it the flu, was it a concussion? Give him a little bit of time to see how he's feeling. And then if somebody gets hurt or somebody struggles or slips, boom, you pop him back in and you let him run. And if and then he struggles a little bit, then you pop him back out. I think that's totally fine. And if you want to handle him with kid gloves, if you want to say.
The rest of the D, though, do you like the way he's handling Mancini and the substitution of forward? The cycle seems about appropriate.
Yeah. I think it's been just fine. Yeah, and like you said, that at this point, and it's funny to say this out loud after all the conversations we had earlier in the year, is that somehow the defense core is now their position of strength, and so maybe they were listening as we were yelling, "Go get another right shot D, go get some help. They need some help back there," and they got some help. So
the only problem is it came at the complete expense of the center ice position. Complete expense.
Yeah, yes. And it's funny, like we have certain weekly guests for whom the conversation circles back, and with Cam, it's been the defense. With John Shannon, it's been his confidence level in the Vancouver Canucks. One thing we should say, Cam, about that right side of the defense, Tyler Myers has been pretty damn good here of late. Like, we've got to give Tyler Myers his flowers. Sure. When he makes mistakes, they are allowed mistakes, but there have been so many nights this year where we're coming out of the game either not talking about Tyler Myers, which is a good thing, or lauding him for something, including a recent run of points since the Four Nations.
He's been very good, and he was good in the playoffs last year too. Like, there was, when he was making the big price tag, it was an easy scapegoat, especially because, like you said, those big, loud mistakes would often be costly. But, he is so large. He's physical. He can push guys back. He can clear that net front. He can bang a little bit, too. It's like he brings a lot of elements that they don't necessarily pop when you're watching, but they're really impactful for that blue line. And this year, he has been highly consistent and at a lower price tag. So it's easier to swallow when he does make those mistakes. And, at his age, too, it's like, he kind of blew that one. But for the most part, he has been very, very good. And I think that was a smart move on their part to extend him and keep him around. And it's really paid off. He's provided nice depth. And now he's in a position where he should be, right? He shouldn't be eating 21 minutes a night or anything like that. At this point in his career, lower those minutes, put him in situations against, not the first line or something like that, and he can handle his business really, really well.
Okay, buddy. I have found myself on Tankathon recently.
Oh,
executing some...
feeling low, are you?
Well, I'm just preparing for all outcomes here, Blake. And of course, one of those outcomes is they crater from here. And you're looking at a first-round draft pick. Now, I know some will say, they're not using that first-round draft pick. And I don't disagree. I think there's a pretty fair chance that they move this year's first-round draft pick. But Cam, this is your wheelhouse. Let's say they are drafting somewhere between 12 and 18. What sort of player do you think they can get? And particularly center iceman, because as we've covered, they've sort of vacated that position at the NHL level and don't have a lot coming in the minors either.
No, I mean, how much time do we have? I could riff on a whole bunch of these guys. So in that kind of range, it's going to be a really interesting range if that's where they are in that, 12 to 15, 18, whatever. Center ice, Carter Bear. I don't know if you guys saw it recently. One of my favorite players in this class. He already ripped up 40 plus goals in 50 odd games in the West there forever. One of the top teams in the CHL. Last rated Achilles. I reported on that he's going to need surgery. It's going to take him out for the rest of the year. That's going to drop his stock. For my money, that's a top 10 pick. So we'll see how far, Peyton Krebs had a similar injury in his draft year, fell all the way to 17. We'll see where Carter Bear goes. But, he's a power pivot with, a hard skill, a great shot. Never looks good drafting a guy and he comes up on stage with crutches. You don't like that. Vancouver's been through that before. But if he's there, if they end up picking in the late teens or something like that, he's someone that I would be really, really looking at. We'll see where, if we can get some more information on this injury and how long the timeline is. But I love Carter Barron. I think that that's an opportunity for a team now to get a really good player at a discount price. A kid like Brady Martin, he's only 6 foot, right-handed center though, but like this kid quite literally has farm boy strength because he's from a farm and like he hits like a truck. He is a load to handle. You can just like, it's so easy to see him being like a third line center, like a matchup nightmare type of guy. But I do think that there's top 6 skill there as well. His game is his offense is predicated on his pace and his speed. And so he's going to need to use that with his handles more frequently as he moves up if he wants to have kind of that top 6 skill. But
I've heard
there's a couple other players.
Points. I've heard he can
milk them. There you go. Look at that. It writes itself. But like looking outside of the middle of the ice too, like what about a kid like Josh Ravensbergen? 6'5", 6'6" stopper. Like, do they have that next guy in the pipeline? People don't love it when a team takes a goalie in the first round, but like, it's not sexy often, but like, man, it can sometimes really, really pay off for you. You look at like Jake Ottinger, Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, this kid has potentially elite stuff. He's a North fan kid. He's a great kid. Like, he's a really, really like a genuine human being. I think he's going to be a stud. On the blue line, I've brought him up before, Keishon Aitchison. For me, he's kind of like Bieksa 2.0 on the left side. 6'1", but he's ferocious. He just set an all-time goal record for the Barrie Colts here. He's like got the 7th most goals ever by a draft-eligible defenseman in the OHL. Scores big goals, OT winners, game winners, fights, hits. Like, he's a lot of fun. Another one who you just like has this infectious personality. And then finally, I'd say like Lyndon Lakovic, 6'4" winger, sniper, power. On pure skill alone, like, I could make an argument that he's like top 5 in this draft, but he's probably going to go in that 10 to 15 range, 10 to 17 range. So he's a really interesting one, that the guy that you could be like, that could be a 30-goal scorer in the league one day.
One guy you didn't mention, and I think possibly because he has played his way into the top 10, the big right shot centerman from Brantford, Jake O'Brien. Cam, is he like now a top 10 guy? Like, is there very little chance that he's going to be in the Canucks range?
Yeah, I mean, I've got him at number 5. I might even bump him up to number 4 at some point here. And like, I tweeted the other day that he's my dark horse to slip into that kind of top 5 range. And I had 2 different teams text me. One said, "Get out of my head. Why do you how do you know what I'm thinking?" And the other one goes, "You might even be underselling him here." So he's got a lot of juice, I think. I will say that neither of those teams are picking in the top 5 this year, though. So maybe there is a chance. But no, he's so talented. He's got a little Pettersson in him. Like, he's kind of undersized, like physically with the muscle mass, but he got that lanky frame, but like unbelievable handles and like sublime vision. Just destroys on the power play there too, right? Nick Lardis has got 70 goals, and like he can take O'Brien out for a couple of dinners for a few of those goals for sure. So I think he will be out of Vancouver's range unless something really dramatic happens where they fall out and then they win a lottery spot or something like that.
You have to be more specific when you say he's got a little Pettersson in him, as to whether or not that is a compliment, whether that is,
boy.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing, Blake, I'm looking at some of the size of these kids. McQueen 6'5", Murtak, the Seattle
6'6".
defenseman 6, Smith 6'3", Lakovic you mentioned 6'4".
Some big boys.
Gonna have some wingspan on the podium again
That's what
this
you like
year.
to see.
Cam, you're the best. Thank you for this, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, all. Talk soon.